Good morning, fifth grade online learners. Welcome to May 10th, 2021, fifth grade science with me, Mr. Monzo, and we are talking about habitats and niches. There's a big lion there with some zebra running around. So I'm going to read to you about that. Just a little glance at the end of the school year. We're going to do one or two more lessons. We're hoping to do a career research project like we did earlier in the year, and getting ready to wind down for the school year, a couple more weeks. This week is a traditional week with 5 days, 3 journal entries, and a quiz on Friday. Okay, so we are talking about page B38, lesson 5, chapter 5, lesson 1 in our science books. And I'm going to read to you the lesson, and this was what the quiz will be on Friday. To tell people where you live, you probably use a street address. An address is a simple way to describe the location of your home. All living things have an address, a place they live in. This place is called a habitat. A habitat is the area where an organism lives, grows, and develops. Everything that an organism needs to survive can be found in its habitat. Many different living things may live in the same habitat. The African savanna, for example, is home to zebras, lions, and many other animals. We were just talking about this in third grade, about how the cheetahs live in really basically the same area their whole life. There's only so many square miles they roam. Niches. Have you ever seen pictures or movies of workers at an automobile factory? Every worker has a place to be and a job to do. If one of them fails to do his or her job, everyone else's job is affected. Organisms in a habitat have specific functions too. A niche describes what an organism does in its habitat. You can think of a niche as a job at a factory or a role in a play. Each organism plays a certain role in its habitat. Look at the savanna habitat shown below. The zebras are consumers. They eat producers such as grass. They drink water from the watering hole. These are parts of their niche. Zebras are also food for lions. That is another part of the niche. Zebras and lions share the same habitat but have different niches. Niches describe more than just feeding relationships. A niche includes exactly where in the habitat an organism lives, how it reproduces, how it protects itself, and how it behaves. For example, birds in the savanna may live in nests. They may use stick, mud, and other materials. Parts of their niche includes recycling such materials from their habitat. Each group of organisms in a habitat uses resources in different ways. Zebras, for example, eat the grass. Lions do not eat grass, but they lie in the grass. Birds use the grass to build nests. Because each group uses the same resources in different ways, there are enough resources for everyone. However, changes in ecosystems can upset this balance, as you will learn in the next lesson. Another page of our topic, and this deals with adaptations. What if you see a drawing of a large white polar bear crossing a hot sandy desert? Something's wrong with this picture. Can you explain what it is? The thick fur and heavy padding of a polar bear help it stay warm in its cold Arctic habitat. Desert animals, on the other hand, have body parts that help them stay cold. These characteristics are called adaptations. An adaptation is any characteristic that helps an organism survive. Sometimes adaptations are physical. The turtles in the pictures on this page are good examples of similar animals with different adaptations. The desert tortoise has legs that help it move easily across the sand. The sea turtle has flippers that help it move through water. Each animal's body is physically adapted to its habitat. Physical adaptations, or plants have adaptations too. For example, a cactus's leaves are thin, pointed spines. Its body or stem has a thick outer layer. These adaptations help the cactus conserve water in its dry habitat. Other adaptations are behavioral. This means that the organism has certain behaviors that help it survive in its habitat. A bat, for example, might sleep through the winter. This adaptation is called hibernation and allows the bat to live in cold climates. Thank you, fifth grade, for hanging in there. We still have 2 pages left, so stay well behaved. I appreciate it. Here's the next pages. Natural selection. How do organisms develop adaptations? In the mid-1800s, British nationalist Charles Darwin proposed a theory to help explain the process. According to Darwin, some members of a species have characteristics better suited to the environment than other members. These individuals are more likely to survive and pass on their characteristics to their offspring. This process is known as natural selection. Let's examine how it works. Picture a rocky beach. A population of birds searches among the rocks for food. Some of the birds have long pointed beaks and can easily pick up pieces of food from cracks between the rocks. Other birds have shorter, more rounded beaks and cannot reach food. Which birds are more likely to survive on the rocky beach? Which birds are more likely to reproduce? The birds with the pointed beaks are more likely to do both. Thus, their characteristics are passed on to their offspring. After several generations, many more of the birds on the beach will have pointed beaks. Most scientists believe that natural selection accounts for an amazing variety of living things and their adaptations. Scientists also use the theory to predict how a species might change in the future. One more page. This is the last page. Symbiosis. All living things depend on and affect one another. Sometimes the relationship is very close. Symbiosis describes a close, long-lasting relationship between 2 different kinds of organisms. This word means living together. Parasitism is one type of symbiosis. One organism, called the parasite, benefits from living off the body of another organism, the host. For example, a hookworm benefits from living inside the digestive tract of a larger host, such as a dog. The dog may become ill, but it usually doesn't die. If it did, the hookworm would die too. In commensalism, one organism benefits and the other organism is not affected. Birds called cattle egrets, for example, follow cattle as they move through a field. The birds eat insects that jump from the grass as the cattle graze. The birds benefit while the cattle are neither harmed nor helped. In mutualism, both organisms benefit. Cleaner shrimp, for example, eat parasites off fish. The shrimp get food and the fish stay healthy. This relationship helps both the shrimp and the fish. Okay, very interesting how the animal kingdom survives and thrives. We will continue to talk about that throughout the week and have the quiz on Friday. 5th grade online learners, hang in there. We're getting there. About 2.5 to 3 weeks to go. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.